Trusting your intuition will lead you to create a passionate and joy-filled life. Are you ready to get turned on to a new way of thinking? Are you ready to meet people who have conversations that speak to the things that truly light you up? What if you had access to a podcast that featured women just like you, who shared stories that empowered you to let go of a life tied to others' expectations and to start living in the now with passion and joy? I'm Jacqueline Rodriguez, founder of Your Intuitive Light Coaching, owner of Enlightened Styles Holistic Salon, and your host of the Intuitive Light podcast for the enlightened entrepreneur. My goal is to help women recognize how tightly they are tied to negative thoughts and other people's expectations, so that they can fully embrace and become the untethered CEO they've always wanted to be. You're about to meet some amazing women who will inspire you to untether yourself from any fears, negativity that you carry and become the untethered CEO of your life. This podcast is for you, woman, champion, warrior, entrepreneur, mother, phenomenon. Hello and welcome back to the Intuitive Light podcast. And I'm your hostess, Jacqueline Rodriguez. I am your intuitive healing business coach. And I am on today with Melanie Day. She is a salon owner, wellness guru, and collaborator who works with women to make sure that they not only feel or look good, but they also feel good about themselves and show self-love. So we have so much in common, and I'd love to bring her on now. Melanie, welcome.
Hello, how are you?
I am great. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. So we do have a lot in common, and I cannot wait for everyone to hear all about your story and what you do. So tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, so basically, I've been behind the chair professionally for I just did the math the other day, I think like 16 years. So came right out of high school, went into beauty school, got my license when I was 21, and the rest is history. I am the shop baby. So I was raised around the beauty industry. My parents, they used to sell hair products, and they were distributors for a small mom and pop business, and they would travel the circuit and travel around to different states and different salons. And I was on the back seat a lot of times going to these places in out of state, Ohio, North Carolina, different places. But that was where the love first came about, was through my parents, and they used to own a salon. So that was the kind of being raised up in the industry is how it started.
That is awesome. Yeah, I mean, you can tell the love that you have for hair and what you do. And it's so cool that you grew up in that and that you started so young, because I too started in the hair industry. My parents didn't have anything in the hair industry. They were more entrepreneurs in their own sort of having a restaurant, which I ran from. I'm not a cook, not a good look for me. I'll do hair all day, but don't ask me to cook. But I got my license in high school, graduated high school and cosmetology at the same time. So I've been in it for a really long time too. And I love what our industry has to offer. But I also see a lot of things that I would love to change about our industry because it's so important to me. And that's where we really get into like the wellness and the way things really happen in salons. And I know that you have a lot of that background as well. So what do you do with your business or beauty business? Sorry.
Yeah. So what I do with my beauty business.
I messed you up. I'm sorry.
That's okay. What I do with my beauty business is basically, look at my clientele as a whole, because a lot of times everything is very much connected. and women are coming in and they may be going through things and like, I want a color change or I want a haircut. I just want to shave my head bald. Well, let's talk about it. What kind of got you on the idea of wanting to do it? Like right now, people are talking about Tiffany Haddish because, like she went on Instagram. It's like, I've always wanted to be bald. I'm just going to shave my head, just be bald. And they're like, are you okay? Like, are you going through something? Because as women, that's kind of what we do. Like we when we lose control, we just cut our hair off and we want to start fresh.
Or go green.
Or go green, or go green or blonde or blue,
Yeah.
Whatever. Whatever it is. But that's for me, that's what it is. It's looking at the person as a whole. And seeing where that lies and getting to know every single client as an individual, not as a segment or as a group, but as an individual, and trying to come up with something specifically for them.
Yeah. And that's really like being a hairdresser is one thing, but as we know, being an entrepreneur, it doesn't always go hand in hand, but you've really embraced both. And, I really wanted to know, like, what does it mean to you, especially in the beauty industry, to be an entrepreneur?
Wow, that's a lot. I think for a lot of people, for a lot of stylists, they feel like, I just want to have my own setup. I want to have my own salon. And I think we've all been there, kind of done that. But honestly, for me, it's being able to live out my ideas and see how that can happen. And make it, whether if it's like a 6-foot spot, whether you're in someone's salon and you just have a little corner spot in the back, which is where I came from, by the window. That was my area, and I made it happen. And I transitioned from a privately owned salon to working for myself, by myself. And I made sure that regardless of what my setting was, I was present and focused on my clientele and ran it as my business inside of somebody else's business.
And that's so important for the beauty industry, because it really is who we are is our business. How we treat our clients, how we structure the time that we have with them is our business, whether we're working for someone else or going out and doing our own thing, And the more we really lean into that and not just think of ourselves as only hairstylists, but entrepreneurs, I think the more that our industries can grow, and the more I think that it's a different experience. Do you notice that? Like when you really are very focused on being an entrepreneur as a hairstylist, it's a different experience than just going in and doing hair for someone else and waiting for that to happen.
Yeah, and I want to say this, and I think this is, you'll probably agree with a lot of creatives. Not all of us have the ability to manage finances, to manage a business, to manage clientele. We just want to have fun and create, and that's fine. But for people like you and I, like we are able to kind of split both. We're able to still be creative and still run a profitable and successful business. But that takes that takes a skill set within itself.
Most definitely.
That takes a very different skill set. And that's why I feel, a lot of times in beauty school, they sell this dream that you're going to be successful. You're a star. You're awesome. You do you, and you go out there and you change the world. But they don't tell you the realities of things. They don't tell you this is what you need to do to set yourself up to be that person. This is what you need to do to find your market. They do, but maybe not guide you in the way that you really should go. This is what you need to do if you want to not get sued by a client because you accidentally left a product on for too long. You need to set up an LLC so they don't come back to you under your personal name. All these different things that you learn. Hopefully you learn before it happens, but for some of us, we learn it as we go.
Yeah.
And we implement it because we learn like, oh man, yeah, I probably shouldn't have done that. So let me let me make sure I have this in
We
place.
learned the hard way.
Basically, yeah.
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 No, I agree. And I think there's absolutely nothing wrong with just wanting to be a hairstylist and a
Yeah.
creative. I
Mhm.
think you still have to run it with a entrepreneur mindset, because we can't just wait on someone else to tell us, what we need to do. Like, we really need to take control
Mhm.
of behind our chairs. But it's okay if you don't want to be a salon owner or go out on your own and work. I mean, I know a ton of super successful hairstylists who are commission based.
Yeah.
But because they run it with a mindset of an entrepreneur,
Mhm.
maybe they don't have to deal with the finances, they don't have to buy all the stuff, and that's perfectly fine. But there's a mindset shift. I think that that's where it goes to be super successful. Because I believe wholeheartedly that not every hairstylist should be a salon owner or have a solo booth rental, because there's so much behind it that some people just aren't good at and don't want to do. And you shouldn't
Right.
have to do anything that you don't want to. I think
Right.
you and I were just very lucky because we have those different mindsets. And like, I actually super enjoy being an entrepreneur, like
Yes.
running it from the ground up.
Yes.
But not everybody does.
No. No. And it takes
And
a lot of patience and a lot of and I want to say this. We live in a microwave generation, Jacqueline, where people want things right now and they don't want to work for it. And they're so, amazed by what they see on social media, by what this person posts on Instagram or Facebook. Look at me, look at what I'm doing. I'm so successful. But they don't see the grind that happens at night. They don't see the tears. They don't see the sacrifice relationships. They don't see the weekends that you may not be with your family. They don't see any of that.
yep.
They just see the after. So there's a lot.
There's a whole lot to that, because we do live in a we want everything right now, what we want. We think we deserve so much more. And because we see these overnight successes. You've been in your business for, how long? I've been doing hair for 20 some years, and I've owned my own salon for 10 years. And it's funny because thank you. And it's been amazing. And then I've coached for the last almost 3 years. But it's funny because when they see things happening now on social media, people who haven't been following me the whole time, they do see kind of like the overnight success. Oh,
Right.
you started and you're doing so well. No. I've been in this way longer than what you see on social. And I do think that it's super important that we have these conversations, that we show that there is a lot of sweat and tears and emotions and roller coasters that go through with being a successful either hairstylist or entrepreneur, or just success in your own terms, right? It's not this overnight thing. And I think that it's very important to really hone in so that people can see that there are so many ups and downs, and that we really have to be graceful with ourselves. Yeah. And when we're talking entrepreneurship, like, what are a few of the things that truly helped you on your journey as an entrepreneur?
Wow, that's a good one. And you probably would agree with me because in this industry alone could be very cutthroat. You know, and I've been very fortunate to have solid people around me since day one. And that's a blessing in itself. So that has helped me, having solid people, good mentors that really want to see you succeed. And they see something in you before you even see it in yourself. That helps out a lot. And then two, I would think if you have an idea, dream big. And I think as entrepreneurs, we're naturally dreamers by
Yeah.
nature. I think we're dreamers by nature. And we sit and we think, well, what if? Well, why not? Let's put it out there and see what happens. We're risk takers. A lot of us, we wouldn't do this if we didn't want to take a risk. I mean, who would want to do all the stuff that we do? But we're risk takers, so we do
Yes.
it. um,
Sometimes I think I'm a little too much of a risk taker, but hey, it's gotten me listening to my intuition and really honing in on the clarity that I have of who I am and
uh-huh.
what my goals are. All the risk so far has been amazing. And then the ones that didn't turn out so well, I learn from and we pivot and we just keep it moving. But
Yep.
that is not for every single person, because it does take a special thick skin to be able to get through those.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm trying to think what else. So you were saying like entrepreneurship, what has helped me. Also, too, I think people that are solid with business is probably the biggest thing, because success leaves clues, and successful people will always either show you by action um, or you can follow their steps to see what they did, and that has helped me out a lot.
Mm-hmm. So mentorship, people
Mm-hmm.
around you,
Mm-hmm.
following. I think, you really hit the nail on the head when you said that you had people in your life that saw something in you before you could even see it.
Right.
And that doesn't necessarily mean family or friends. I think it's also who we surround ourselves with.
Sure.
And because of the internet now, like I would have never met you if it weren't for the internet and
Right.
for creating communities outside of our just tight knit little families and people around us. So we're very much in control of the people we surround ourselves with.
Right.
So if you don't have those people who see something in you and who want to support you and see you succeed, I highly suggest finding them. They're out there. I
Yeah.
mean, honestly, this is the entire basis of my podcast, is because I am one of those people. Like, I'm out here strictly to support, to lift others up, and to create those communities because I know how important it is.
Right. Yeah, and I feel like that's really important, especially in light of the climate, that we're in right now. That
Mhm.
community is so important. And for me, I think about one of the things that's really helps my business to be successful. I think about the old TV show Cheers. People like to go to a place where everyone remembers your name, right? And
Mhm.
when things happen, we tend to go back to places where we feel comfortable, where people know us, where there's community, where there's a sense of belonging. And I think
Yeah.
that's something special that we as beauty creatives have.
Most definitely. And we get such a chance to be so personal with our clientele that the more that we can understand the community, and we're here to serve. And that kind of brings me into the next question, like understanding your community and how to serve them. Like how did you tap into your community and what you wanted to do to serve them?
So my community actually started when I was in beauty school, right? So I knew from my personal experience that I didn't want to be just, another typical black hairdresser that only does just black hair, but I wanted to do everybody's hair. And I also realized too that that is something that we're not taught in school. Point blank, we're not.
Yeah.
And my struggle that I went through early on is that in order to get through beauty school, I had to cut my braids out, and my hair is all natural. So I didn't have any chemicals, no relaxer, no nothing. And I
Mhm.
had to basically relax my hair in order to comply, in order for me to complete beauty school. So that set the tone for where I wanted my market to be. And it taught me that, there's a lot of people that want to learn how to do their hair, but there's also people that don't want to always relax their hair. There's always, I mean, in that, 20 years ago, this whole like natural hair movement was just kind of coming onto the scene. I mean, it's exploded now, but
Yeah.
when I was coming around, like we were kind of like the beginning of it, and it's kind of exciting. But that's where it started for me. It started for me in beauty school, and then in 2010, the actual brand "You've Got Curls" was developed because that was the name of my first curly hair workshop. And with that workshop, it was still focusing on women, female empowerment, but for all walks of life, for all ethnicities and nationalities and hair types. That's how it started. And then it grew into the business. But it was, at first, it was just the name of a workshop, ironically.
But it's a perfect name. And I think it embodies everything that you are showing and you're doing. And
Mhm.
I was really interested in, you know, your entire business, but then also I love how you specialized with the hair loss.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's a huge piece because I too, we have hair loss things that we really help, and we approach it in a different way
Uh-huh.
than throwing Rogaine at somebody,
Right.
because that's pretty much all
Yep.
we learn too, right?
Yep. Yep.
So I really loved that part of it as well. If you want to tell us a little bit more about like what you actually specialize in.
Yeah. So the front end of the business is I specialize in basically helping clients, educating them in their textured hair and how to work with it at home. And then on the back end of the business, which is now coming to the front end, is where I'm focusing on hair loss and hair restoration. My approach to it is because I've been taught in so many different arenas with it, is more from the trichology side of it. And trichology is basically the science of hair and scalp disorders and things like that. So a lot of times when clients go to a doctor or they're going to another practitioner, a lot of times Rogaine is the answer or steroid injection is the answer, but it's not getting necessarily to the root cause. And for me, it's looking like, once again, holistically getting to the root cause of what is potentially causing this issue, and how can I help you along with my resources that I have access to, because I have access to a lot of resources, help you regain your confidence, get back what you're trying to. If not, if that's not a possibility, how can we manage it?
Mhm. And I love the holistic part of it. Getting to the root cause, I think, is so, so important. And it's something that is so overlooked
Mhm.
in the doctor field, in the beauty industry. Like we put band-aids on a lot of the things, and we don't really get to the root cause of, I mean, even when we're just talking about bleaching hair, like we
Yep.
strip it so harshly, and we don't even think about like the longevity of it and what is going to be the root cause of damaging our scalps like that, and
Yeah.
the products that we're putting on it. So I really love that you go a holistic route with that, because we need more of us out there, and we
Yeah.
need more stylists to take on that approach, because there can never be enough. I think our
Right.
industry in general would benefit from us changing more to the holistic route, but then also educating our clients so that they're educated consumers and they
Uh-huh.
know that there is a difference and that there is options out there, that we don't have to just put more and more band-aids on. Um, and all the toxicity of everything that's around us makes a huge difference.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So and another thing is too, Jacqueline, is that there's so much misinformation that's out there when it comes to hair loss. Even when it comes to, how you can manage it. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm seeing like, oh, just use rice water and use onion water, or use like, I mean, there's so much stuff that's out there that women are desperately seeking answers. And, our job as professionals is to, I mean, we're not doctors. Some of us might be. I mean, there are cosmetologists that are actually dermatologists too.
Hmm.
But for the majority of us are not medical professionals. So like we have to remember, like we gotta stay in our lane, so to speak, and realize, okay, like we're not diagnosing. It appears to be, but this is, I would suggest that you go to this person. They can kind of help you out a little bit more. I'll be more than happy to help you manage it on the back end here.
Yeah. Well, I think it's working together. And I don't know about you, but my experience of trying to work with certain dermatologists and certain things, like there's a lot of miscommunication there. Um,
Mhm.
and I think the more that we can work together, and when we are working with our clients, showing them, yeah, here's the people that I trust and that they will help you take care of it more holistically as well, because even when we're talking about dermatologist or going to a doctor, there are naturopaths out there that can help where
Mhm.
that's their lane. And then we help on the other end of trying to recover what we can or just simply manage.
Right. Right. Yeah.
And I think that that's a huge part of knowing our community and serving our community.
Hmm.
When we're talking about business, like going through all the pieces, like how did you come up with your strategy to help? Like, or do you have a strategy?
How did I come up with my strategy to help? So, um, honestly, like I don't really have a strategy for that. You know, I have more of a strategy for building the business. Now, as far as a strategy, like I do have a strategy when it comes to steps with hair loss and how to assess it that way. That I do have a strategy for. But once again, I think it's very individual. You kind of have to take it case by case and see how each person is and how they respond. And not everybody responds the same. Not everybody wants to put into work. I can only do so much, but if you're not doing the work at home, or if you feel within yourself that things aren't possible, then there's that it kind of hurts it too.
I think mindset is huge, especially
Hmm.
when it comes to our health. Um, e- Especially now when we're in such a fragile state of the world with
Hmm.
COVID, because we are still in the midst of COVID, and our mindset around it, and whether we believe things are going to be okay or things are not going to be okay, it
Hmm.
all boils down to the same thing. So with your hair loss, with the world, the perception of all of these things, it's a huge piece of the mindset, thinking that you can get over this and heal and restore or manage properly.
Absolutely, yeah.
Do you teach a lot of that to your student or to your clients? Sorry.
Yeah, I do. Mindset is a big thing. Um, I saw a post the other day. It was really nice, and I saved it. And I wish I had saved it for right now. But it was saying like you can eat all the kale, you can do all the yoga, you can do all the supplements, but if you are not making the changes here and here, pretty much,
Hmm.
it's not really going to work. And that, wow, like that spoke volumes to me.
Oh, most definitely. It is that those subconscious thoughts. Because if
Mm,
we're not changing the subconscious thoughts, then we are going to continue right back into the exact same habits, the exact same mind frame. Mindset is a very like popular word now, but really, when you're working with things in your brain to change the subconscious and change the habits and the perceptions around things, it
mm,
really starts there. And that's why you've seen people who have, and this gets kind of crazy, but like people who have literally healed from things with mindset and energy work and things like that. Like it is a huge part of, believing that you can do it and then taking the actionable steps around that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I believe that, like a person's past trauma rewires your brain. I mean, there's been a lot of science behind that, and some of us are are still trying to rewire that. But it is true. We learn something and we can unlearn it. There are some things that are beyond our control, that may take something a little bit more powerful, to undo. That might be more deeply entrenched inside of us to dig out. So yes, absolutely.
And that's one thing, with, simple things surface, like with hair loss, or skin things that rashes or eczema.
Yes.
I actually find a lot of those things come from deeper rooted issues that now are coming through in your skin or in hair loss. That's why, stress is directly correlated to a lot of these issues, right? When we have a lot of stress, 3 months later, our hair can start falling out. And it is super correlated. And the more we can peel back the layers and get to that deep rooted, the issue, that's when we can start making bigger changes.
Yeah. And it's helping people become aware that, in the news lately, there's been a particular company, and I won't name any names, but there's been a particular company that people were saying like, oh, that their product made my hair fall out. And I wanted to speak on that because, sometimes we don't realize that at the same time we're using a product, we might be going through tremendous amounts of stress, like you mentioned. We might also have changed our medication. We might also be deciding like, hey, like I want to change my diet, all while I'm changing all of these things. But the only thing you realize is that you just changed your hair product.
Oh,
and your
my
hair
goodness.
came out.
Yeah.
But that's getting to the root cause of things. And so I think as professionals, educating our clients on, hey, if you see a reaction happening, just stop using a product, regardless of what it is, organic, whatever. If you're seeing certain things happening in your body, take note of it. But sometimes now, like we're so consumed with everything that we're not listening. We're not seeing the warning signs that our body is telling us, like, hey, I'm going through something right now. Like I'm about to hit red. I'm about to hit orange. I'm about to explode until it happens.
And then when we do that, we're in such a state of chaos that it's harder to find the root cause of it.
Yeah.
But that's what we as professionals, like you said, we get a chance to do that holistically. And that's why it's so important to take that approach, because you help unpeel, or you pull back those layers of that onion that on the surface is just hair loss, but or the product, doesn't work, or there's a reaction, like whatever it is, right?
Right.
Getting deeper is so incredibly important, and something to look at for the people listening. Like, look for people like us. Like, if you aren't in one of our cities and you can't come to us, like, there are stylists out there and there's people out there who want to help. It's just a matter of knowing that this is even an option, because I find that a lot of my clients don't even know that this is an option.
Right. Until you put it out there. I will say Google has been one of my best friends in the last few years. Thank you, Google. Because people are searching. You attract people. You attract a group that you want to be around, and that respond to what you're doing. I'm a firm believer in that. And people that are very specific. I ask clients all the time, how did you find me? I typed in curly hair specialist, hair loss. I typed in hair loss, locks, whatever they're particularly going through is what they typed in. So, and here's a little nugget I will share is that when you ask your clients how they found you, really listen. And one thing that has helped me not to repeat the same mistake that their previous stylist has made is to ask them, what did you like about what do you like about your salon experience? What do you dislike about the salon experience? People will tell you, I don't like that they're late. I can't stand that she's on her phone. I don't like being rushed. I don't like waiting all day in the salon. I mean, these are things that you can tailor and make your business. And people are telling you what they crave, what they want. Create that experience. Right now, people are all about experience, and we pay good money for a great experience. It's better than therapy.
Yeah, most definitely. I know that I do. Anywhere that I go, it can be, I mean, there's been places where I've gone where it's mediocre product.
Yeah.
Like the product's okay, but the experience is completely out of this world. Or we talk about people who, businesses who have really created amazing experiences. Like I always go back to Dyson. Their experience, the customer experience through everything, they're expensive.
Yeah.
But because I know that no matter what issue I have with their products, I will get heard, taken care of, and always happy on the other end. They are innovative. They are listening to what people want. I mean, they came out with the Dyson hairdryer, and then they came out with the air wrap, and then they came out with a straightener. But all of these products, they're expensive.
Yeah.
But you better believe I will spend money on those because of the customer service, because they heard their community of what they wanted, because what they create is top notch, but then they also are always there to serve their clients.
And I like what you say about that, because in a lot of business development classes I've taken, that is something that's often talked about, is looking at other higher end brands. For instance, you may go into like a Louis Vuitton store or an Hermes store or Saint Laurent, to purchase higher end bags. You don't ask what the price is. I mean, like the prices aren't there. Like you already know that you're going to pay a certain amount of money, but depending on which company you're with, I mean, you could have that bag could be with you for a lifetime, and you have a lifetime of customer service. So I say that to say this, that to salon professionals or just beauty professionals in general, your relationship with your client does not end when that client leaves your chair. You follow through. You're like, hey, how are you doing? How are you enjoying your new color? Is it working out for you? Let me know, like, how can I help you style, your new hair? Because I know it might be a little awkward for you. And a lot of times people will write you a horrible review because they're frustrated because they can't replicate what you did at the shop. And my cut is off. I hate it. She jacked up my hair. It's a mess. But in reality is they just can't duplicate what you did at the shop. So if we can walk them through that, creating that customer experience, that white glove service through and through, that makes it so much better. And especially in light of today, because people are people will spend money, and they'll spend good money, but they're very picky about where they spend it.
Of course.
Yeah.
Because there's so, like you said, I think when we first started was the competition. There's so much competition out there. So what can we do to, be unique? What can we do to truly serve and give back? And that really falls for any business that we're in. How do we hone in and really up the service that we provide and create something unique. And then also, like, we were talking before, in the beauty industry, for anybody who's on for beauty, the beauty industry, it's been doing the same thing over and over and over again for years. We need to break the mold.
Yeah.
We need to think outside of the box and start giving a different type of service to our clients and also for us.
Yeah.
We do better. And that's truly why I created my salon with all non-toxic, organic, sustainable. I mean, even down to like my foils. I don't put foils on my clients because it's bad for the environment. I know that we as a whole, for, the beauty industry, we usually leave a huge footprint. So my goal is to lessen my footprint. Can I get rid of it completely? No. But I know that there are strategies and things that I can do. And that's just my part. And that's one salon, but creating something where it's unique to you and what you believe in. That's where we serve at our highest.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's a really great takeaway, that no matter what business you're in, where can you serve at your highest so that you can be successful, you can be happy in what you're doing, and your clients will just flood in because they resonate so much with what you're doing.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that it's so incredibly important. And I know that you are doing so many things to do that with your clients, and you really have honed in, and you're creating such a wonderful experience and what's the word? Like a community.
Yeah.
For your people. Yeah. I forgot the word community for a second. So with the community and everything, I know that you have a few different things going on. Do you want to share some of those with us?
Yes. I always like to share. So one thing I've been working on for a while, probably since March and all this, is that I've actually created a membership program. And it is something that's really special because, like I was saying earlier, I think one thing that COVID has taught us, depending on where you live in the world, is that sometimes you just want to be around people and you can't, but you also really want to feel good about yourself, even if you're just going downstairs to sit on the couch and talk to your friends over Zoom. You want to look cute while you're doing it. You know what I mean? So, and I think that's something that a lot of us took for granted, was getting our hair done when we wanted to.
Most definitely.
Yeah. So I created a membership program that helps women of color who are experiencing hair loss. While also trying to manage their textured hair at home. That's a double whammy in itself because they're both really personal. It can be both really hard at the same time. And when you don't have a community that understands, that makes it even harder. But what I love about this is that I'm taking all of the work out of it, as far as you having to search the internet and going through YouTube and Facebook groups and does this work? I don't know. I mean, and saving you money too, because I'm bringing all the resources to you. And so that's pretty cool.
That right there, white glove service. Because yes, you can search Google for umpteen hours. You can go through YouTube. I mean, we can learn anything from YouTube nowadays.
Yeah.
But are you finding the right thing? Are you finding the community? Are you finding the support that you are offering? And I think that that's huge. That's huge. Yeah. And I'm so excited that you have such a beautiful community and that you're starting this service, because it's so needed. And everything that you have, like where they can find you, you can tell us. And I'm also going to link everything below and in the blog, so we can make it super easy. And you also have this great test or quiz, didn't you? Or check sheet.
Yeah, it's a hair loss guide. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. The
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're going to have that linked as well. So if you want to head over to her website and please follow her and support her, join her community, and be a part of all of this because, she's creating something so beautiful that is needed in the world. And I really appreciate you just being here today.
But I appreciate this too because I've never done StreamYard before, and we had some technical issues before on my end. But this is great technology. I love it, and this was a really good podcast. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Yeah, well, we always have tech issues. It's
Yeah.
one or the other. But we just go with the flow because that's all we can do. And I think that everything happens for a reason, and we got into a beautiful flow of conversation today. And I think you gave some really great nuggets, and it was perfect timing. So it always works out.
Yeah.
And so everybody who's watching, thank you so much for being here. Please make sure you go on and follow Melanie. Come on to both of our communities because that's really what we're here for. We're here to support you, to give you a beautiful community that shows support and caring and self-love. So please check her out, and hopefully we'll keep in touch, and we'll maybe have another podcast. Who knows? We'll do it.
We'll make this a habit. You never know.
Hey, I love it. This is what I get to do for work. So I love talking all day. Yes. And we have some amazing guests on all the time. So please, check back in, catch us on the next show next Wednesday. And thank you again for being here.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. Right. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you so much for listening today. Please make sure that you go over to the blog and follow all the links for our guests and get the downloads that we talked about. I would also really love and appreciate if you would share this podcast with your friends and family. And if you wouldn't mind taking just a minute to leave a review, that would mean the world to me. Thank you again so much from the bottom of my heart for listening and staying tuned. Can't wait to see you next week on the show.